Hey everybody, welcome to another Ask the Experts from Sabre Limited. Let's get into it. Okay, today I want to do a Business Central implementation tip, and I want to talk about focusing on outcomes. So this came up recently in a call with a client, and I mentioned it, and I want to just explain it a little bit. My name is Rob Jolliffe. I'm an expert in Business Central manufacturing, in supply chain, and owner of Sabre Limited. And I record these videos to share my insights and thoughts with people. If you're like a couple of assumptions I make about the viewer of this video, I often talk about examples from manufacturing. So if you're not a manufacturing company, you might find some of the examples hard to follow, but the content is still relevant. It doesn't really matter what type of business you are. This is a truism for any company implementing Business Central. And I do tend to focus on small, medium businesses. If you're a really big enterprise company, this might not be as applicable because you probably have a stronger team of consultants and business analysts, et cetera, within. But who knows? Hopefully, whoever you are, you get some value out of it. If you like the video, if you want to ask me a question about it, if you've got examples, I'm going to give a couple of examples. If you have better examples than I do, please don't hesitate to either leave a comment or down in the description down below, you'll find my calendar and you can book a meeting with me using my calendar link. Just pick a time that's convenient for you. If you can, let me know how you found out about us and what your question is, and then I'll set aside half an hour and have a conversation one-on-one with you. Okay, so this video is focused on implementation tips. I'm going to be doing a series of videos on this. I'm planning on doing a number of them. And this first one is to focus on outcomes, not methods or tasks. So just quick little aside. You might think of a method as a feature, but a feature in and of itself could be an outcome that you want. You want the feature because the outcome is satisfied by the feature. A method is a little bit more specific, and it gets into a really particular detailed thing that the ERP has in it. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about methods or tasks. Like, I do it this way specifically, and does your ERP do specifically the same thing? That's what we're talking about. Let me give you an example. Let's say you are a business and you purchase, you sign a contract to buy aluminum, and you buy 1 million pounds a year of aluminum. And so you have to keep track of how much aluminum have you bought. And in order to assist you in doing this, what you do is you create a whole bunch of contract purchase orders at the beginning of the year. Maybe you create 12 purchase orders at the beginning of the year, each for like 83,000 pounds or whatever 1 million divided by 12 would be. And so you create all these contract purchase orders, but what that does is it loads your MRP system up. So somebody added a don't include an MRP feature on your purchase orders so that they would not be included in the netting. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, this is a custom that you created. Sometimes some ERP systems might have features like this or methods that they do things like this, but that are specific to the ERP. But let's just assume you guys programmed it to do this. So because the contract POs aren't real yet, that's why you added it, to eliminate them from netting, because you don't want them to show up as being some of your supply. So when you're talking to the sales rep who's selling Business Central, or you're talking to the consultants because you bought Business Central and you're implementing it, you ask, how do I keep a PO from showing an MRP? You're asking that question because that's what you do today to handle this big purchase contract that you have. Very bad approach. This is what I'm trying to warn against. It's a little bit tricky to try and catch yourself, but let me explain what's happened here. You created this system to handle purchase contracts because your current system didn't handle it in another way. And you've gone to the consultant, and basically you have blanket purchase orders, would be the term of art in the industry for this type of purchasing. Your existing system doesn't handle blankets. So when you added the remove from MRP feature, and that was a workaround, it was a fix. It fixed the problem that your current system had. So when this is bad, because when you're asking for this, I'm saying feature, method, task, like this little sort of way of doing something, you're asking for that rather than the outcome. You're creating this risk because the consultant is going to hear it and not know why you want it. You're just asking for it. Business Central has a feature to do blanket purchase orders. That's an out of the box feature of the system that is there for this purpose. So by asking them to do it in a particular way, which is the way you do it now, you're sort of driving them away from saying, oh, but it already has a blanket purchase order feature because you didn't ask it correctly. And this is because your original feature was a workaround. Your original system didn't have this capability, so you added it. And now you're coming in, you're asking for it, kind of under the assumption that Business Central doesn't have that capability, but it does. So the outcome you want to say something like, I want a system to manage blanket purchase contracts or a system to manage blanket purchase orders. And the consultant go, oh yeah, that's here. But if you say it the way you asked it, you're going to create this conversation and maybe like questioning. At Sabre, we would ask you why you would want it and try and dig into what the outcome you're trying to get is. But some consultants won't ask. They'll just say, no, it doesn't, but we could code it. And then you've now done some software development and you've coded something and you've just spent money on something where there's already a feature. So by asking for that feature that you want to remove the PO from netting, you've set the consultant or the sales rep off on the wrong direction. You've driven them to a direction because they don't know why you want it. A good consultant will say, why do you want that? You'll say, because we have it in our old system and it does this. And then they'll say, but why? Why do you want it? And you'll explain, because I don't want it on MRP. And then they'll go, why do you want it? And eventually dig down into, because I have blanket purchase orders. But a bad consultant will just hear it say, no, but we could add that. We could customize it and not tell you that there's a blanket purchase order system. The thing you need is the outcome, not the feature, not the method, not the task, not the button. Okay. So what you do now is that button. It's that method. Okay. So how do I avoid this? What do I do to avoid it myself? Because I'm like, you as the customer are the one who's kind of conflating the methods that you do things with the outcomes that you want. So how do you do it? Okay. First of all, you have to think about it. You have to think about why are we doing the things that way we're doing them? Are we doing them because we need them that way for some other reason, which is the outcome? So you have to try and sort of take a step back and think about that. Try and think about whether or not you did something in the past as a workaround. Did you create a custom, an extra feature, a capability? We see this all the time with what I'll call a double check report. So let me give you a weird example. Say there was a system and when you part ship something, it vanishes from the shipping list. So the part shipped orders, the back orders, just disappear off the list. So the company creates a back order report because that's the only way they can find these back orders, because their system has this defect in it. So the back order report gets created. So then you go to the partner and you say, does it have a back order report? And here's our back order report. We need this back order report. Instead, what you should say is, does it delete sales orders from the list when you ship them, partial ship them? Which the answer to Business Central is no. Business Central, they would still be there and they would show as back orders. So you don't need the report. And what you're asking for, again, you're not asking for the outcome. The outcome is, does Business Central let me manage back orders and ship them and not lose them? Instead, you're asking for the workaround you created because your system was defective. And that's really risky. So those methods, those workarounds, those things that you did are often to overcome an inefficiency in the current system. The last thing I'll say about this is another way of kind of addressing this problem is to get more people in the room. So one of the things I find is the people who use the system every day get used to using the system, but they don't always remember why things were done that way. But if I get a room of 5 or 6 people and there's a lot of that kind of tribal knowledge rather, but tribal kind of like lost knowledge, there's more likely to be somebody in the room who remembers, oh no, but we did that because the system deletes sales orders from the list after you part ship them. And they're there, and if you know the number, you can bring it up, but it doesn't show anywhere. It filters them out. And somebody could say that in the meeting when the consultant or the sales rep says, why do you need that? And what we find sometimes is the company says we need it because that's how we work. And we need it because that's how we work is a kind of a risky thing when you're doing an implementation, and it's going to send you down some bad alleys. I'll say one last thing about this before I conclude, which is that the reason we want you to do this is we don't want to custom program something that you don't need. And as an implementation consultant, what we at Sabre do is every time somebody asks us to write a custom thing, we dig in 3-4 times trying to figure out. We do the 5 whys. If you're familiar with Lean Six Sigma methodology, we use the 5 whys method to try and identify why is it you want this thing. To be honest, it's irritating to some clients, but once we've exposed a couple of times that they've asked for one of these tasks or methods rather than an outcome, and we show them by asking 5 whys that there's an underlying outcome that they want, and then, oh yeah, actually that's a feature of the system today, and you don't need to do the thing you're doing today because the system now is going to take care of it. They usually begin to lighten up a little bit and they go, oh wow, yeah, let me try and get into the depths of why I want this, not just tell you what I want. But we do encounter a lot of companies that call us and say, hey, I'm not really super happy. I've had Business Central for a while. It's not really working, or I bought it and it's really failing. And when we dig into it, we find out that there were a lot of these sorts of things that the partner just took at face value and started working on. And it's often because the consultants are just not familiar with your industry. And so they don't catch the contradiction. They don't notice that you ask for something that doesn't make sense. All right. Thanks very much for watching this video all the way through. If you could click down below and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, that would be much appreciated. If you could like the video, I really appreciate it when people like the video. If you have any comments, don't hesitate to leave comments. We do release videos every week at Sabre. I don't release this series every week, but I do them from time to time, and I really, really do appreciate the feedback I get from clients. Our contact information is on the screen here. You'll also find probably there's going to be some other videos someplace on the screen here that you could click on that are being recommended by YouTube. Thank you so much and have a great day.